Game day's here, I can hear the crowd. Turn on the lights, fans are cranked up and loud. Red or blue, we wear it proud. Yeah, we love our teams in this border town. Chiefs and Royals, Boo Mizzou, Rock Chalk, Jayhawk, KU. Hear that drum pounding in your feet. Yeah, you're marching to the beat of KC.
What is going on, YouTube? What is going on, Kansas City? And what is going on, everybody? And welcome to the beat of KC. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Lucas Murphy, and the Kansas City Royals are constantly kind of in the headlines. Either they're rumored to somebody, they're making a trade for somebody, they're in the trade rumors for somebody, they're potentially linked to a free agent, they're signing a free agent. JJ Picollo and his staff continue to really kind of set a precedence for this next year. And I think this is going to be a little bit longer of a video just because it seemed like really starting Thursday and Friday and leading into the weekend, it was just a culmination of things, events that just happened, whether it was, again, signing free agents, making a trade, being in trade rumors, being tied to some significant players, whether it was a trade or free agency. So we're going to be talking about absolutely everything. I'll make sure that I have the chapters listed down below. So if you guys are wanting to skip ahead and go to a certain area, whether it is talking about trades or signing free agents or whatever it may be, that will be linked down below. Now, the Kansas City Royals continue to stay in headlines and are making very strategic moves, preparing them for 2026. I also think a key thing is they're not only just preparing for 26, they're setting themselves up for success in the future and beyond. We have a lot to discuss, really, again, from the trades that have been very intriguing in how they fit the Kansas City Royals, an extension that I talked about really early on in the last Royals season of 2025, and how this signing of Maikel Garcia could pay dividends. And yet again, the Royals are being tied to some big-time trades, and that continuously pops up from big-time people covering baseball, Major League Baseball. And so I think that the active discussions around those trades are being had, and so I'm thinking there's going to be some pressure. Maybe something finally gives and the door gets kicked open. Before I get even further into this video, I do, yet again, want to give props to JJ Picollo and his staff, ladies and gentlemen, to be given an opportunity to become the general manager of the Kansas City Royals. And the things that he's accomplished since taking over, whether that is drafting players, whether that is making strategic signings of veterans like Adam Frazier and going in guys like Randall Grichuk and going in guys in Mike Yastrzemski and making a significant trade, sending away a guy who really had a clubhouse presence and just a significant kind of connection to the Kansas City Royals, to the Padres, and in return you're getting, and Freddie for me, and in return you're getting guys that are significantly contributing in ways in the starting rotation. I mean, the things that have been accomplished from just the small amount of tenure that JJ Picollo and his staff have had. I mean, going and signing new coaching staff that really are going to help and incorporate new ideas and strategies into this offense, and really the pitching staff. I mean, Brian Sweeney the list goes on and on. So I really want to kind of just give a huge praise to his entire staff and what he's developed. I mean, we're making moves that are building this team for the future. You locked up Bobby Witt Jr. You now locked up Maikel Garcia. You drafted Jack Caglione. I would envision that, Vinny Pasquantino is going to be next. You locked up Salvador Perez for a few more years. I mean, they're making strides. They got Cole Reagans to sign a deal. I mean, there's a lot. Now, the big question mark is how does Bubic fit in? Are they intending trading him? Are they going to keep him? We'll talk about all that, obviously. But the first thing that we're really going to talk about is the Royals and Brewers complete a trade, sending Angel Zerpa to Milwaukee for Isaac Collins and Nick Mears. Immediately out the gate, ladies and gentlemen, this is a beautiful trade for both teams. I mean, Angel Zerpa can easily go plug into a pretty significant team who made really a stride towards going to the World Series. Now, they did obviously lose in the postseason in dramatic fashion. I mean, I think they got swept, but they're yet again adding a pretty significant lefty to their bullpen, and potentially it sounds like rumors that They're even looking to maybe start on Angel Zerpa, so it'll be interesting to see how Milwaukee really uses him, maybe transforms him. We'll just have to see. But I think the biggest thing is in return what the Kansas City Royals got. They got outfielder Isaac Collins, and who was a switch hitter, and a right-handed reliever in Nick Mears. Now, this is really kind of significant. Isaac Collins, a 28-year-old switch hitter who enjoyed a breakout 2025 season for the Brewers, batting .263 with 9 home runs and 54 RBIs in 130 games. Collins made starts across the outfield and even appeared at second base during his first full MLB season. Now, they obviously acquired Nick Mears as well in this trade, and I think both those guys kind of getting closer to the 30-year-old season, I think it's significant to kind of see who we've been targeting age-wise. Like, we're not getting the super young, up-and-coming players. We're more targeting kind of guys that have almost experienced the major leagues, if that makes sense. They've got enough tenure underneath them, whether that is age or experience in the minor leagues. And we're getting guys that are a little bit closer to 30 in age. And so I think it's really kind of coming into the age group of everybody that's on this team right now. Now, Nick Mears, a 29-year-old reliever who posted a 3.49 ERA in 63 relief appearances last season, adding depth to the Royals bullpen with experience and a stable track record out of Milwaukee's relief corps. I mean, one of the biggest things that I remember from Nick Mears is his ability to just throw flames. I mean, you're touching 98, 99 miles an hour. He has a pretty sick breaking pitch. I would obviously see him maybe working with this pitching staff to really develop a changeup, but having a 3-pitch repertoire coming into a year where he can just go out to the bullpen and just do what he needs to do in a ballpark the size of Kauffman, I think is just a significant addition. They've really emphasized improving their right-handed pitching in the bullpen. Now, obviously we know what we have in Lucas Erceg and guys like that, but now you're starting to really add some guys out to that bullpen, and you got Alex Lang now. I mean, they're really getting some pretty significant arms that are going to be able to throw heavy fastballs, balls that kind of have some pretty significant run on them. So I'm excited to see this bullpen really shape up, and I think you're really going to have some dogs out there. I do, especially Nick Mears. Nick Mears has some ferocity to him and will bring that. Now, the big question is Isaac Collins. What does he provide this outfield? Why was he more of a target in a trade versus maybe going and getting a guy like Austin Hayes? I think that's a big question a lot of people have, and we did go out and see that, we did see at times they were interested in a Jake Myers. I think this kind of really eliminates them going and getting a Jake Myers. I think this is really kind of the same type of player, maybe not quite as much speed. We haven't quite seen the ability to play as elite of defense as maybe a Jake Myers, but I'm pretty sure Collins having the ability to play all 3 outfield positions, I think is significant. So what does he really offensively profile as? Collins is a switch hitter, which is another significant thing, who made real strides at the plate during his 2025 season. His offensive game is built more on quality contact and plate discipline than raw power, though he has shown some pop to punish mistakes. He does a good job staying through the baseball, so he's really got a good bat playing, staying through the zone, using the middle of the field and keeping his strikeout rate really manageable. And I think that's something we'll talk about really kind of from Baseball Savant. Traits the Royals value as they try to really improve lineup consistency, and that's a big thing. His outs above average is 86, and he will be middle tier on speed. He's not going to swipe you like 40 bags, but will be effective enough like he did in 2025, giving you roughly 16 stolen bases. I could see anywhere from 16 to 25 maybe, depending on how much playing time he gets, really kind of how comfortable he gets, where he bats in the lineup, those types of things. While Collins isn't a traditional middle-of-the-order threat, no, not by any means, he profiles well as a high-contact complementary bat, a player capable of lengthening the lineup, someone who can move runners, avoid prolonged slumps, which reflects in his 98% chase rate, 63% whiff, and a 90% walk, which means he doesn't chase, he doesn't whiff, and walks more often than he strikes out. So I really think that profiles you for what type of player you're getting. I mean, a guy that was in the running for Rookie of the Year, you're getting a pretty talented hitter. Now to kind of talk a little bit about his defense. One of Collins' biggest strengths is his defensive flexibility. He does have experience at all 3 outfield positions, and he did obviously in a pinch play second base. The versatility is really something Kansas City seeks after, and we see that in a lot of our players. You know, you have the ability for, not that he's going to anymore, but a Michael Garcia can play third base. He can play second base. We've even seen him play a little bit of center field. Now, I think those days right now are probably gone. He's probably going to slot right into third base where he won a Gold Glove, but he has that flexibility. We're seeing guys like Jack Caglione, who has the ability to play right field, but is a predominantly good first baseman, can DH. Same with Salvador Perez, catcher, first base, DH. You're seeing guys like Michael Massey playing second base, playing a little bit of outfield. So they really value guys that can not only play one position, but are dynamic in those positions and can play multiple positions. So I think that's significant. He can compete for a corner outfield spot. He can serve as a strong fourth outfielder. It'll be interesting to kind of see, since we signed Lane Thomas, really kind of how they envision this thing shaping up and really playing out. I mean, we have yet to still go make that impact trade. And we'll talk a little bit about Jaren Duran because he continues to come up in trade discussions and act as an injury insurance across multiple spots. And again, we're talking about Isaac Collins. For a Royals roster still balancing youth and reliability, Collins fits as a low-risk, high-utility piece with upside in his offensive gains. And I think that's the biggest thing, is that he has a ton of upside still. I mean, for a guy who is 28 years old, he's still learning to play the game, really kind of coming into his own in the Major League Baseball. So it only makes sense that he fits what the Kansas City Royals envision. It's that magical time of the year again. The minute the boxes come out of storage, and the first string of lights flickers on, everything just feels brighter. The smell of pine fills the house. The Christmas tree goes up, and suddenly, you're transforming your home into a full-blown holiday wonderland. Maybe you're climbing the ladder to hang lights on the roof, setting up those larger-than-life yard decorations, or turning the living room into the coziest place on earth. But sometimes, the Christmas spirit outgrows the space you're in. Whether you're dreaming of a bigger living room, for the perfect tree, a yard worthy of your holidays display, or simply a home that better fits your seasonal traditions, now might be the ideal time to find your dream home. Lisa Miller at Lynch Real Estate. With over 13 years of experience and licenses in both Kansas and Missouri, Lisa isn't just selling houses. She's helping you find a place to call home. Whether you're a first-time home buyer, looking to upsize, or selling your current home, Lisa makes the process smooth and stress-free. As a local expert, passionate about building lasting relationships, she ensures her clients feel confident and satisfied every step of the way. Don't wait. Your perfect home is just a call away. Contact Lisa today at 913-579-3246 or 913-369-3000. Or visit LisaMillerSellsKC.com. Let Lisa Miller at Lynch Real Estate help you start your next chapter. So if you're ready to make a move that matches your holiday joy, Lisa Miller is here to help you find that place where your Christmas magic can truly come to life. Now, Nick Mears. I'm just as excited for Nick as I am for Collins. And the reason is because he just adds something that's just as important, and that's bullpen dependability with upside. The upside piece, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, the Royals have continuously, again, added guys that have heavy fastballs with run. Pitching arsenal, Mears is a right-handed reliever with a mid to upper 90s fastball, a hard breaking pitch that misses bats, the physical build to handle leverage innings. His fastball velocity allows him to challenge hitters in the zone, which we saw when they faced the Mets. I mean, he went out there and just shoved and just was like, here's my fastball, try to hit it. While his breaking ball gives him a legitimate put-away option against both right and left-handed hitters, what his kind of role and where you kind of forecast him, a middle to late inning option, a potential setup arm if command continues to improve, and a pitcher capable of handling high leverage when needed. I think really what he does is just provides this team versatility coming out of the pen. When you got guys that get used multiple days in a row, say Lucas Erceg throws 2 to 3 days in a row, you're going to have the ability to kind of plug a Nick Mears in as a setup guy to Carlos Estevez. Or same can be said for Alex Lang. You know, Alex Lang can come in and give you not only a save opportunity, but because he has that experience, but he can also be a setup guy if Lucas Erceg needs to come in and get you out of a pinch. I also think, too, when you really look at the Kansas City Royals, they heavily relied on Lucas Erceg in those tight, really kind of key situations all the time. And when they would use him in that situation, he would be maybe unavailable in some areas where that pinch would arise again. You're now adding guys who have that experience across the board in Alex Lang and Nick Mears. So if Lucas Erceg, was that go-to guy, now you have a ton of options you can go to who kind of have that same mentality, have that same upside, have that same velocity, movement on their pitches, and really can kind of just shut down an inning when you really are trying to limit, runs. So I really, really, really like what they're doing with this bullpen, and I'm excited for this addition. Now, I think big picture, and really kind of just wrapping up this trade. This trade isn't about replacing Angel Zerpa 1-for-1. It's about roster balance. Collins really helps address the offensive depth and potential flexibility. Mears reinforces a bullpen need that's reliable innings. Both players are cost-controlled, and it fits the Royals' longer-term competitive window than just kind of holding on to Angel Zerpa. And I think, he really provided Kansas City with a lot. He did come up and was originally going to be a starter, worked his way into a significant role, throwing heavy from that left side, which when he first came up, he was like 92, 93, and now he's touching 100 with a sinker that's just disgusting. A very good ground ball pitcher, so he really has developed into something special. I do think the Kansas City Royals will still look to add lefty to the bullpen. I mean, that's something they're kind of lacking at this point, so I wouldn't be surprised if they do go add maybe 1 or 2 left-handed bullpen arms. I mean, they still have Daniel Lynch, but I anticipate they could upgrade that if that makes sense. Now, the Royals, again, are active in the rumors on trade market. The interest came about and really was mentioned by ESPN's Jeff Passan, who has local ties to Kansas City. And the Kansas City Royals have interest in CJ Abrams and Mackenzie Gore. The first time I read this, I really kind of was just in shock and awe. And the reason is because the connection, I think, is significant. The trade would be massive in a get for both those players who really kind of are younger but fit what the Nationals are trying to do and build young and start to develop. Abrams, obviously, has had his moments of ups and downs, not only on the field, but off the field. Mackenzie Gore, ladies and gentlemen, is producing in baseball savant. So really his analytics and stats show that he's producing in a massive way, which is why so many teams want Mackenzie Gore. But I think, too, the package to get, even if these two were separated, the package to get a Mackenzie Gore would be so significant. So I'm trying to, in my mind, put the puzzle pieces together. I really think that a Mackenzie Gore addition would be added if they were to move, say, a significant piece like a Cole Reagans. So I'm really trying to plug this all in. What would be, upgrading your starting rotation and adding a guy like Mackenzie Gore to even Cole Reagans and Michael Wacha and all those guys would be astounding. Like, it would elevate this team to a whole new level, even though they're already kind of getting to a new level. This would take them even to a higher standard. I mean, Mackenzie Gore pitching inside a Kauffman Stadium would be unreal. So let's dive in and really kind of just talk about this. The Royals' recent moves may not be the end of their offseason maneuvering. And again, according to ESPN's Jeff Passan, Kansas City has also shown interest in Washington National shortstop CJ Abrams and left-handed starting pitcher Mackenzie Gore. And that was reported through MLBtraderumors, which then was through, obviously, Jeff Passan. I kind of was able to read a little bit. Mackenzie Gore, his frontline stuff, rotation-changing upside. I mean, if you've watched him pitch, which I have, it's electric, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, he has the ability to really kind of dominate. And I can only imagine if Brian Sweeney was able to work with Mackenzie Gore and really kind of develop him even more. Among the names the Royals are monitoring, I think Mackenzie Gore stands out as a potential rotation-altering acquisition, which is why I think this is an intriguing kind of connection. A former top prospect with pedigree really coming over from the San Diego Padres, Gore possesses the type of power left-handed arsenal Kansas City has needed on top of really kind of with Cole Reagans. I mean, Cole Reagans has been that dominant left-handed pitching when healthy. And then you obviously have Chris Bubich, who really kind of came to light this last year, but then obviously dealt with injury. But I think if you were to kind of compare, Cole Reagans and a Mackenzie Gore, like they line up pretty good when it comes to really the life on their fastball, having the ability to have a nasty breaking pitch, to kind of complement that with some other things. I think that those two really kind of are two similar style of pitchers. And so I really think it's interesting to see the connection there. Now, Gore's fastball plays in the mid to upper 90s with life, and he complements it with a sharp breaking ball and developing changeup, which I think would be significant to pair with a Cole Reagans. If Cole Reagans could really kind of show him how to throw that changeup, you're gaining a pitch that is just going to be neutralizing, opposing hitters. When Gore is commanding the zone, he looks every bit like a number 1 or high-end number 2 starter. There's no question. Why Gore fits Kansas City? The Royals' interest in Gore reflects a desire to raise the ceiling of their pitching staff, not just adding innings. I think the biggest thing is he adds swing and miss ability, something Kansas City has actively sought. A left-handed presence capable of matching up with elite lineups just as well as Cole Reagans does. A left-handed presence capable, again, of dominating when you need to get to the postseason. Multiple years of team control aligning with the Royals' competitive window. Kansas City has historically valued pitchers who can grow within their development system, and Gore flashes of dominance suggest there may still be another level to unlock. And I think, again, getting with Brian Sweeney and that pitching staff really could unlock the untapped potential. He would immediately slot near the top of the rotation and become a long-term pillar around which this staff could be built upon. I think that's significant because you are eventually going to lose guys like, Seth Lugo. You're eventually going to lose guys like Michael Wacha. Who's going to be replacing those? You do have some younger guys down in the minor leagues and David Shields. You do have Kendry Churio, but they are a long ways off. And so really where you're kind of in that window of continuously competing, and eventually you will have to replace those guys. So now moving on to CJ Abrams, a dynamic shortstop having the ability to kind of play second base as well with game-changing speed. If Gore represents the pitching upside, CJ Abrams represents the positional impact and athleticism. Abrams is one of the most electrifying players in the league when he's right. A true shortstop with elite speed, quick hands, and range to both sides, Abrams would instantly upgrade Kansas City's defense up the middle. Not talking about Bobby Witt Jr. We're talking second base. Bobby Witt Jr., gold glove, platinum glove. Like, you're not worried about replacing Bobby. You're more worried about what is going on at second base. Offensively, Abrams brings skill set, build to bat to ball ability, gap power, and disruptive on the base pass. Now, offensive and defensive value. Abrams' speed changes games. He puts constant pressure on defenses, creates extra bases, and I think plugging him into a ballpark like Kauffman Stadium for half a season, those gaps are going to be significant. You're really going to be a game changer. He does create this extra bases, turns singles into scoring opportunities while his approach at the plate continues to evolve. The upside is absolutely significant. A potential top-of-the-order catalyst, something the Royals are in desperation for. Now, some of the moves that they have made, I think, could fill in that top spot. Maikel Garcia could even potentially plug into that top spot. So I think that you're really giving Q options to kind of work this lineup and really kind of discover what he wants to do in spring training, what fits, what doesn't fit. And even if they aren't to make a move for a guy like Abrams, I still think that flexibility is there. But continuing on with Abrams, I think the biggest thing is potential of the top end order catalyst, plus defense at a position like second base, the ability to impact games even when he's not driving the ball. For the Royals team that emphasizes athleticism, contact, and speed, we know that Abrams is almost the perfect philosophical fit. Now, his infield flexibility. With Maikel Garcia now locking down third base, and we know, and we're going to talk about it, his long-term extension, adding Abrams would give the Royals rare flexibility. Abrams at second base, and so I think you would have Bobby Witt Jr. obviously at shortstop, and you would have a Gold Glove winner at third base in Maikel Garcia. You're talking about an infield that is really solid, really just kind of defensively there. You're going to limit runs, and then now you're talking about all the additions you've made from a defensive standpoint in the outfield. This team is starting to come together, ladies and gentlemen. So rather than creating redundancy, Abrams would allow Kansas City to maximize defensive value across the infield while strengthening the lineup's athletic profile. Again, you're adding speed. This thing would be the speed that this team is going to provide outside of guys like really Jack Caglione. You're looking at, I would say, Salvador Perez, Vinny Pasquantino. Outside of that, your speed is pretty elite if you were to get these guys. And even the moves that they've made, I mean, already with guys like Lane Thomas and you go get Isaac Collins and some of these others, you're really kind of talking about some pretty decent speed all across the board, except for really your power spots. So finally wrapping this up with the trade discussion, what Abrams represents strategically. Targeting Abrams signals that the Royals are looking beyond short-term patches. They're pursuing premium talent at premium positions, prioritizing players who can impact games in multiple ways and remain valuable even if the bat ebbs and flows. And I think that kind of leads us to the next thing, is that the Kansas City Royals have yet again been tied to Jaren Duran. I feel like they're constantly pressing. I wouldn't be surprised that J.J. Picollo is calling, the Boston Red Sox on a daily basis. Hey, where are we sitting on Jaren Duran? We've discussed where we're at. Cole Reagan's probably not going to happen. Where are we realistically at? Now, they probably continuously, as of right now, are still asking for Cole Reagan's. But they're not really, to me, it doesn't sound like there's a lot of movement going on because nobody's really broke through outside of Pete Alonso signing with the Baltimore Orioles. There just hasn't been that blockbuster trade or a blockbuster signing outside of, again, Pete Alonso. So I'm interested to see, are the Royals continuously saying, where are we at? What do we need to do? I believe that's happening, especially with this continuously coming up through mainstream media for covering MLB. Now you got Jeff Passan talking about it. You got guys, that are connected through the New York Post and guys that are continuously on the MLB network outside of ESPN saying that there's a connection between the Royals and Boston for Jaren Duran. I think this thing is going to get itself worked out. I really think that they're just trying to get through the complications of trying to ask for the elite and really coming down to what is truly fair. That's my biggest thing right now. So I'm interested to see how this develops out. Maybe somebody will come in and swipe and just overpay for a Jaren Duran. And at that point, you did everything you could, because I'm sure that that's what the Royals are doing. But you also don't want to overpay because you're a small market in desperation for a guy. And I don't believe J.J. Picollo is putting himself in that position. That's where they're at now. They don't need to go and desperately give up and hinder the future just because they're like, hey, we really want Jaren Duran. So I think that that's a significant thing, and truly that's why I think there's a stalemate. I think Boston's overly asking. Kansas City's like, no, we don't need to do that. But they're calling every day. They're like, hey, let's work this out. They're kind of putting the pressure. They're being that annoying younger sibling that is constantly like, are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? So I think that that's kind of what the Royals are doing, and eventually, like an adult or like an older brother or sister, you're like, yes, we're almost there. So I think they'll eventually kind of break through that and get the trade worked out. I do believe that that's going to happen. I mean, if you really look at that, it is going to be an absolutely sick lineup. And I will eventually discuss if this move is made and they happen to manage to keep a pretty significant core in their starting rotation, which I believe they will. This team is no question going to compete for the AL Central, so we will have a completely different conversation on that, but man, this team has just been impressive, and I'm thoroughly impressed with what J.J. Picollo and his staff, again, are doing. So I'm going to wrap up this video. This is a little bit longer than what we typically do because there just has, again, been a huge amount of accomplished in such a short time for the Royals, and I anticipate them not being done. They still have to add a lefty. They still have to add that left fielder. Impact left fielder, I would imagine. So I don't think the Kansas City Royals are done by any means. So make sure you guys smash that subscribe button, smash that like button, comment down below. Let me know what you guys think. And I end every video the exact same way. Have a good day.